Selamat datang di acara peluncuran buku Digital Paradox.
Buku ini adalah hasil kerja keras kami, semoga bisa mencerahkan di Hari Capistrano 19 Maret 2026.
So tomorrow, March 19th, 2026, is actually Capistrano Day, which, if you don't know, is that crazy precise moment when thousands of swallows just instinctively return home to their exact origins in California.
Yeah, it's a really perfect metaphor for what we're looking at today.
Exactly. We are doing a deep dive into a launch script for this highly reflective text called Digital Paradox, from Cogito to Concio. And, well, it basically argues that humans have completely lost our own version of that homing instinct.
Right, the text diagnoses this loss as the digital paradox.
Yeah.
I mean, the core mechanism here is simple, but honestly pretty brutal. As the speed of life and the sheer volume of information we consume just keep increasing, our actual orientation weakens.
So we know more than ever, but we understand less.
Exactly. We have access to, more data than any generation in human history, but our grasp on where we're actually going is just collapsing.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. It's essentially like driving a hypercar with the accelerator just totally pinned to the floor, but your GPS is completely shattered. I mean, sure, you're covering incredible distance, but to where?
That is the exact tension the book highlights.
Yeah.
Because right now, we rely entirely on the intellect to navigate this whole digital landscape. But the intellect is really just an engine.
Like a data processor.
Yeah, data processor. So when you feed it infinite digital inputs, it just revs harder and processes faster. It doesn't actually know how to pick a destination.
I want to stop you right there, because this is where the text introduces the solution, and frankly, the terminology gets a little dense. It proposes this framework called conceology.
Right, conceology.
Yeah, and I get that it's supposed to fix our broken GPS, but practically speaking, what does that actually mean? Like, are we talking about a psychological theory here, or biological, or what?
Well, it's more of a systemic synthesis. So, conceology argues that we aren't just data processing machines. It treats the human as this integrated system of body, mind, and crucially, this foundational layer of deep feeling that the text calls raison.
But wait, when you say feeling acts as our GPS, I mean, that sounds incredibly unreliable. If I navigated my life based on my daily emotions, I'd be all over the map.
Oh, absolutely. But that's a really vital distinction to make here. The script isn't talking about, fleeting surface-level emotions like getting mad at traffic or laughing at a video online.
Okay, so what is raison then?
Raison, in this framework, is the underlying physiological and psychological resonance you carry. Think of it as your baseline state of being. And the mechanism works basically like a filter.
A filter for what?
Well, your raison determines which data your intellect actually pays attention to in the first place.
Ah, I see. So it dictates the raw materials the engine is even allowed to process. Which, honestly, that perfectly explains the book's massive swing at René Descartes.
Oh yeah, it totally goes after Descartes.
Right, because here's where it gets really interesting for you listening. The script basically throws out the classic cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, and it replaces it with sentio ergo cogito ergo ego, which translates to I feel, I think, I act.
Exactly. The text argues Descartes just had the sequence completely backward, and that's exactly why our collective hypercar is crashing right now. Thought isn't the starting point.
So feeling is.
Yeah, feeling is. Let's look at the how here. If you wake up and, say, immediately absorb a barrage of high-stress digital news, your raison, that baseline state, shifts into threat detection mode. So your deep feeling is now rooted in anxiety.
So then the intellect, the cogito part, only processes the environment looking for things to worry about.
Right, because the filter is set to anxiety. And finally, the akiko ego, the action part, becomes purely reactive.
Wow. So you just spend the whole day fighting fires that might not even exist. You're driving 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction, all because that initial baseline feeling dictated the intellectual processing.
That is the shift from cogito to concio. We have to recognize that true direction originates in that deep feeling layer, not the cognitive one.
So practically applying this conceology thing isn't about meditating on a mountaintop or deleting all your apps. It's about actively auditing what you are allowing to tune your raison in the first place.
Precisely. You have to stop trying to outthink the information overload. The intellect just can't solve a problem it was designed to accelerate.
You have to step back and manage the baseline state.
Yes, you manage the raison before the intellect even engages with the data. That is how you transition from being a passive passenger in this fast-paced world to becoming an active driver.
So what does this all mean for you listening? The future of civilization, according to this text anyway, isn't determined by how fast we can process data. It's determined by having a clear destination. We really need to end this acceleration without orientation.
Exactly. Because if you don't intentionally set your coordinates at the level of Rasan, the digital noise will gladly set them for you.
And those swallows return to Capistrano tomorrow, they don't overthink the wind currents. Their core instinct drives the navigation. So, if our deepest feelings, our raison, and not just our logical thoughts are the true steering wheel of our actions, what exactly is fueling your raison right now amidst all this constant digital noise?